So most people know about Donald Trump's most famous speech he gave, which was in 2017 at Liberty University to the graduating class. It was a phenomenal speech. I mean, nobody would deny it. I mean, I've even seen liberals be like, I hate this guy, but this was, this was a 10. This was, through the roof good. And it was. And I realized what stood out to me the most, and I've done videos about this, but I realized why, like, to the young people, it stood out as empowering. And not that it didn't, you couldn't help but feel empowered listening to it, but I had another experience because of it, and it was what stood out to me probably the most was it's the outsiders that change the world. And so I reflected on this so much because I could relate to that. And I'm not trying to change the world, but just doing the right thing, you're an outsider. Especially if you're a nurse and you're a recovering alcoholic, yeah, that's a hard balancing act. Because if you're somebody that's in an executive position sitting at a desk, you don't have somebody's life in your hands. I mean, well, I shouldn't say lives, like, because I'm a psych nurse. So you don't have somebody's emotional well-being in your hands. The system does not want you to do the right thing. It will reward the people that do the wrong thing. It will it will elevate the corrupt, and people that you think that mean well and that truly, are honorable people, in a heartbeat will change like that. And suddenly you see this corruptness in them. And I'm talking about nurses in leadership positions, not at just one place either. So I never set out to change the world. I mean, because obviously the speech is for young people. But just doing the right thing, you're attacked. If you do the right thing, you will suffer a monetary loss for doing it. You will suffer not getting promoted. But I've come to accept that in it. See, the problem is that most nurses kind of get into a groove. They realize there's not much point in standing up. Not that they never do, but the system does everything it can, and because these are the millionaires in C-suite of the hospital. Over the past 10 years, I've seen, I work in psych, and the people that I've seen be the psychopaths is the people running the executive branch of every hospital. They merged all their hospitals. All they care about is some computer AI bullshit. They want to do everything they can to, if you have a good team, they destroy it. They'll set out to destroy it. Who does that but a psychopath? I've seen it happen at more than one place. They go out of their way to make people miserable, to make things untherapeutic. I am not exaggerating. As God is my witness, they do. And then they just end up putting you in this box where you're never able to spend any time with patients. And see, I love being a nurse. I mean, I think most of the executive staff and leadership is, in psych anyway, is more mentally unstable than many of the patients I take care of. Okay, well, it did when I was working, but anyway, so there's this, like, if I think there should be a realistic view on the world. That's all, and that the world is not going to welcome you for doing the right thing. It wants to act like that's why, look at the people that have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm not saying none of them deserved it. It's just that in life that's what's going to happen. But it's going to go to somebody like that is not as deserving as someone else. It's just the way it is, because of who runs this world, the wicked one. And it shouldn't be about all that. I think that this idea of people wanting to change the world, and I think every young person, well, I don't remember having this vision, but I don't. But I think a lot of people coming out of the universities do, and they have those great visions, and and this is a great speech to hold on to that stuff. I think more, this idea of I'm going to change the world can go into this egotistical place often. and like start out as meaning well but can go to a bad place. I don't know. I'm not trying to discourage people. I just think the way that really the world would change is if people truly change themselves. And you can't change yourself because only God can change you. I don't care if you're I don't care if you're an alcoholic or somebody that's not an alcoholic. You cannot change you. Even if you manage to do a good job changing yourself and thinking, look, I'm being a good person, the very fact that you'd be like, tallying, it shows that no, your motives aren't in the right place. But nobody on this planet truly will have a transformation of the heart and mind without knowing God. That's what I think would change the world, is if people allowed God to change their heart and mind. That's what would change the world. So even though, he's an example of what most people want, all this monetary wealth. I mean, yeah, that makes things more comfortable for sure. And everybody, when they hear wealth, they think of that. My experience has been, because when you're walking with God, God's going to make you stand up and do the right thing. And in nursing, that comes at a cost many times because, well, first of all, people don't want to see somebody else do the right thing when they're not willing to, so then they all hate you for it, okay? But you will be targeted, okay? You will end up in the end when you're standing up for the right thing. And I don't mean to a ridiculous, but I mean just advocating for a patient. Simple things. You will lose the monetary wealth. However, what you will gain in the wealth department with God is much higher. That's what I care more about. I know this world cares about the monetary wealth, and I get it because it's all around us that you have to care about it. But I found in the past 5 years, and I've lost the most monetarily in the past 5 years than ever before. That's what God does, though, is he wanted full dependence on him. He wanted you to get full dependence on him. Total. And this world does this half in and half out thing. And I've done it for many years until the last 5 years. And God wanted me to step up and speak up, and I've done that. But he also wanted me to put full dependence on him. And that meant that everything, monetary-wise, all of it. And that is a scary thing to do. But I mean, I've been able to do it only because you need to know the power of God in here. That's the kind of stuff that will change the world, because that's who can change the world. And he will do it through you by changing you. You changing your heart and mind, you can't do it. It will only be a short-lived thing, even if you think you've managed to change your heart and mind. Only truly one God can do it. And he's always there for anybody that is interested in, having a whole reconstruction party done on the inside. The other thing he said in this speech was, it was about embrace the label of being the outsider, because it's the outsiders that change the world. And he encouraged the graduates to be courageous and follow their dreams along the road less traveled. So the road less traveled is in AA everywhere. Alcoholics Anonymous, that's one. They have some big time quotes everywhere. That's one that's a big time quote, and it's because even though this quote, "The road less traveled," has been around since some book, like back in 1915. It got going in AA because of a Dr. Scott Peck. He was a psychiatrist and a Christian who was a strong supporter of AA and emphasized that life is difficult and requires discipline, responsibility, and dedication to truth. And none of those things can you do on your own. That's what I would say to him. Only total surrender to God will get you to be able that happen. He called the founding of AA one of the most important events of the 20th century. And the reason he said this is because of what it requires of the alcoholic, and it requires that we uncover everything in ourselves. Like, there's nobody that has better insight than truly old time recovering alcoholics. There's nobody. I don't care if they're psychiatrists, I don't care their education level. The recovering alcoholic with a long-term sobriety, they know themselves best. and they would tell you change the inside, but only through God.